The sky above Kareth was a deep purple, streaked with sharp lines of white lightning that cut across the swirling clouds. The planet's great cities, made of shining metal and carved stone, glowed softly in the twilight. This was the heart of the Kale Dominion, ruled by King Rozar, the strongest and most feared leader the Kale had ever known. Inside the royal palace, huge chamber filled with statues of past kings and ancient weapons, King Rozar sat on his throne. Scales were dark green, his eyes sharp and cold. He looked like a dragon come to life, majestic and terrifying. Yet today his face held a shadow of sadness. His daughter, Princess Valeri, had been missing for weeks. Valeri was not like other Kale. While most of her people were proud warriors, she was curious about the stars and other worlds. She had spent many hours studying strange signals coming from the human colonies on Earth's edge. Her father did not trust humans. He believed they were weak and dangerous, but Valeri thought differently. "I will find her," Rozar said in a low voice, watching the storm outside. "She cannot be lost forever." Far from the throne room, Valorous' shuttle pierced the atmosphere above Kareth. It was a small craft, fast and agile. Valeri sat in the pilot's seat, eyes wide with excitement and worry. She carried important data secret mission to investigate a strange energy signal near Kareth's orbit. The signal had baffled Kale scientists. For weeks, the stars outside shone cold and distant. Suddenly, the shuttle shook violently. "What is happening?" Valeri asked, gripping the controls. "Warning, system failure detected," came the voice of the onboard computer. Explosions rocked the shuttle. Valeri's heart pounded. She tried to stabilize the ship, but a fire started in the engine room. The signal she chased was a trap. Before she could react, a missile struck the shuttle. The explosion threw her through the cabin. Smoke filled the small space. Valeri closed her eyes and prepared for the worst. Back in the palace, the news arrived. "Quickly, Your Highness." The chief of security bowed deeply. The shuttle carrying Princess Valeri was destroyed near orbit. No survivors. King Rozar clenched his fists. The pain was sharp, like a burning wound. He refused to believe it at first. His daughter, the future of the Dominion, gone in a flash. The official story was that humans had attacked her shuttle, but Raza knew something darker was at work. "Prepare the fleets," he ordered. "Earth will pay for this." Meanwhile, deep in the shadow of Kareth's orbit, the damaged shuttle drifted. Valera's escape pod had broken away just before the explosion. It tumbled through space, her unconscious body protected inside. The pod's small thrusters fired briefly, guiding it toward a small rocky moon orbiting Kareth. The pod's sensors were damaged, but it managed to land in a hidden crater. On the moon's surface, Corporal Jason Ward looked up from his post. The air was thin, the sky black, but stars shone clearly. He was a human scout assigned to a small outpost. This place was far from Earth, forgotten by most, but important for secret research. Jason saw a strange flash in the sky, followed by a small object crashing into the crater nearby. Without hesitation, he grabbed his gear and ran toward the smoke. Jason arrived to find the pod battered but intact. The door was open, and inside was a strange figure, a woman with green scales and fierce eyes. He froze for a moment. Was she a Kale? "Help me," she whispered weakly. Jason did not hesitate, lifted her carefully and carried her to the outpost. The scientists there were shocked but quickly started medical treatment. Valeri opened her eyes slowly. The room was small and bright, full of unfamiliar machines. She was weak but alive. "Where am I?" she asked, voice trembling. "You're safe," Jason said softly. "You're on a human base on the moon near Kareth." Valera's mind raced. Could she trust these humans? They were the enemy of her people lore, so she had believed. Jason noticed her fear and said, "I'm not here to hurt you. We both want to stop a war." As days passed, Valeri healed. She learned about human ways, their courage, their kindness, their determination. Jason became her guide and friend, but trouble was coming. Back on Kareth, General Vartak saw Valeris. Death as an opportunity. he whispered to the king. Your daughter is gone. Now we can move against Earth with full force. They will fall. Vartok's plan was darker still. He had secretly sabotaged Valeri's mission, hoping to seize power while the king mourned, far from the palace. Valeri and Jason prepared to send a message to the king, proof she was alive. It was dangerous, but they had no choice. If the king learned the truth, the war might be stopped, or it could be worse. The cold wind howled over the rocky surface of the moon. Inside the small human outpost, Princess Valeri was growing stronger every day. The strange green scales that covered her skin glistened in the light of the medical room. Jason Ward watched, her carefully impressed by how quickly she was healing. Valera's eyes, bright and sharp, studied the humans around her. She was learning their language, their customs, and slowly opening her heart to them. But deep inside, she knew her true mission had just begun. Jason sat at the terminal, typing reports and scanning the skies. His life had always been about survival and duty. When he first found Valeri in the broken escape pod, he did not know what to think. But now, after weeks of watching her recover, he saw something different. Why did you come here? He asked her one evening. The dim lights of the outpost made the room feel small and warm. Valeri looked out the window at the stars. I wanted to understand. My people believe humans are weak, but I see courage in you and something else. Hope. Jason smiled.
Oh.
Most humans don't believe in peace right away. But once you meet the right people, things change. Dr. Rena Moss, the xenobiologist at the outpost, joined the conversation. She was fascinated by Valeri's kale physiology. Your body is unlike anything we have seen, Rena said, gently. Examining a small wound on Valera's arm, you heal faster than any human. If we study you, we might unlock medical secrets to help millions. Valeri nodded but kept her guard. She had to be careful whom she trusted. I will help you, she said, but only if you help me save my people from war. Jason watched as Valeri spoke with a strength that surprised him. She was more than a princess, she was a symbol of hope for two very different worlds. Back on Kareth, General Vartok paced the cold halls of the royal palace. His face was hard and cruel. The king grieves while the Dominion waits, he muttered. Earth grows stronger every day. Soon we will crush their colonies. Vartok was not just a general. He was a man hungry for power. Valera's disappearance had left a vacuum he wanted to fill. We must move fast, he told his loyal commanders. The king is weak without his daughter. I will take control and bring glory to the Kale. At the outpost, Valeri and Jason prepared to send a secret message to King Rosaire. It was risky if the wrong people intercepted it. War would break out sooner. Jason worked on the communication device. This signal will reach Kareth, but it's encrypted, he explained. Only your father's command will understand it. Valeri's heart pounded. I need him to know I am alive and that Vartok is a traitor. Jason nodded. We will send it tonight. That night, under the silent stars, Valeri stood beside the transmitter. Her thoughts were heavy. I was born to be a warrior, but I want peace, she whispered. If only my father could see what I see now. Jason placed a hand on her shoulder. Sometimes you have to show people a new path. And sometimes you need a friend to walk it with you. With a deep breath, Valeri sent the encrypted message, a brief but clear warning about Vartok's betrayal and her survival. The message traveled quickly through space. On Kareth, King Rosaire received it during a quiet moment in his chambers. His heart skipped. The message was from Valeri alive and calling for peace. But before he could act, his security advisors warned him of Vartok's rising power. Your Majesty, one said, Vartok controls the fleet near the border. He may act before you can stop him. Rosaire's eyes burned with anger. Prepare my personal guard, he ordered. I will not lose my daughter or my throne. Meanwhile, on the moon, Valeri and Jason were not safe. Scouts from Kale and humans suspicious of Valera's presence were closing in. One evening, alarms sounded. Vartok's forces found us, Jason said, grabbing his rifle. We have to move, Valeri nodded, her training as a Kale warrior taking over. Let's go. Together, they fought through the rocky terrain, avoiding patrols and using every trick to stay hidden. Jason admired Valera's skill and bravery. During a brief rest, Valeri shared stories about her childhood. My father loves me, but his fear makes him blind, she said quietly. He thinks war will protect us, but it only brings more pain. Jason looked at her with respect. Humans have the same problem. We fight because we don't understand each other. They smiled. Two very different beings finding common ground. Days passed as they traveled toward a neutral space station where they hoped to find allies. They knew Vartak's reach was growing. At the station, Valeri sent another message, this time asking for help from neutral factions who wished to avoid war. But Vartak was already there. His agents moved quickly to capture them. Jason and Valeri barely escaped a trap, fighting side by side through crowded corridors and docking bays. Their teamwork was seamless, Jason covering Valeri while she used her Kale strength and agility to disable enemies. They escaped into space aboard a stolen ship, hurtling away from danger. In the quiet moments of the flight, Valeri looked at Jason. Why? Do you help me? I am an alien, and my people have fought yours. Jason smiled. Because sometimes the right thing is not about who you are. It's about what you believe. Valeri's eyes shone. Then maybe humans in Kale can find peace. After all, as their ship raced toward Earth, Valeri and Jason prepared for the challenges ahead. The Dominion's war fleet loomed, and Vartak's betrayal threatened to destroy everything. But together, they held a new hope, a chance to stop the war, and build a future where two very different worlds could live in peace. The stolen ship hummed through the blackness of space, stars shining cold and distant around them. Inside the cockpit, Princess Valeri and Corporal Jason Ward shared a tense silence. Both knew their mission was dangerous, sending word to King Roser was only the beginning. If Vartak's forces caught them, the fragile hope for peace would die. After days of careful travel, they reached a small neutral station known as Haven Point. It was a place where different species met to trade and talk, avoiding the wars that scarred the galaxy. The station's bright lights and noisy crowds were a sharp contrast to the cold silence of space. Valeri felt a mixture of hope and fear. Here she could send a message to her father. She also knew Vartak's agents might be close. Jason guided the ship smoothly to a docking bay. We have little time, he said. The longer we stay, the more chance they'll find us. Valeri nodded, her eyes sharp. Then let's send the message and leave quickly. In a hidden communication room, Valeri worked with Jason to prepare the transmission. The message was simple but clear. Father, I am alive. Vartak has betrayed the Kale. He plans war against Earth. Please stop him before it is too late. Jason encrypted the signal so only the Royal Command on Kareth could read it. As they sent the message, alarms suddenly blared through the station. Security teams rushed in. Trap. Jason shouted. They were surrounded by soldiers wearing dark armor. The King's loyalists and Vartak spies had found them. Valeri moved fast, her training as a Kale warrior clear in every step. She struck down two attackers with powerful blows, while Jason covered her with his rifle, taking down enemies with precise shots, but the room was small. They were outnumbered. Jason grabbed Valera's arm. We have to escape. Using the ventilation ducts, they crawled through narrow passages, barely avoiding capture. Outside in the busy docks, their stolen ship waited. Jason hacked the docking. Controls to unlock the bay. Go, he urged. Valeri sprinted ahead, but a squad blocked the exit. She fought fiercely, but a stun blast hit her shoulder. Burning sharply, Jason grabbed her, pulling her to safety as they jumped aboard the ship. Engines roared, and they blasted off into space. As the station disappeared behind them, Valeri grimaced in pain, but smiled. That was close. Jason nodded. Too close. Vartak is hunting us with everything he has. Back on Kareth, the stolen message shook the royal palace. King Rosar stared at the encrypted words. For the first time in weeks, hope flickered. In his eyes, he summoned his closest advisors. If my daughter lives, I must act. Vardak's betrayal ends now. Meanwhile, Vartok gathered his forces in a secret base. His face twisted with rage. "They escape again," he growled. "Prepare the fleet. We will crush Earth and take the throne." His followers cheered, eager for war, Valeri and Jason. New time was running out. To stop Vartak, they needed allies. They sent messages to Earth's commanders, warning them of the Kale threat. Some humans doubted, but others listened. Jason trained Valeri in human combat and tactics. She adapted quickly, learning how humans use teamwork and technology to win battles. Valeri taught Jason Kale fighting skill strength, speed, and deadly precision. Together, they became a fierce team. One night, under the stars, Valeri spoke quietly. "I never wanted war," she said. "But if my people must fight, I will stand with humanity." Jason smiled. "That's why we're stronger together." Their next move was clear. They had to return to Kareth and face Vartok. But the journey would be dangerous, as their ship approached the Kale homeworld. Sensors detected a massive fleet waiting. "Vartok's forces," Jason said grimly. "We're outnumbered." The dark skies over Kareth were filled with the thunder of warships. The great city beneath the swirling clouds was tense, alive with the sounds of soldiers preparing for battle. Inside the royal palace, King Rozar stood firm, his eyes sharp. As he watched the holomap glowing before him, Valeri was coming home, far from the throne room. In the shadows of the palace corridors, Valeri and Jason moved carefully. They wore stolen armor, human stealth suits, modified with Kale technology. They were not welcomed guests, but they had no choice. Vartak's coup was already underway. "Stay close," Valeri whispered. "We must reach Father before it is." "Too late," Jason nodded. "Let's end this." The palace was a maze of cold stone and shining metal. Guards loyal to Vartak patrolled the halls, their faces hard and suspicious. Valeri and Jason slipped through secret passages, avoiding patrols and traps. In the Grand War Chamber, King Rozar met with his commanders. The air was thick with tension. Vartok's betrayal had shaken the Dominion. But the king was determined to fight for his throne and his daughter. A sudden alert flashed. "Your daughter has returned," one officer reported. Rozar's heart leaped. The doors opened and Valeri stepped in, her green scales glowing faintly under the light. Jason followed closely, weapon ready. The room fell silent. The king's eyes searched her face, full of pain and hope. "Valeri," he said, voice rough, "you live." "I am here," she replied, strong and steady. "But we face a greater. Enemy Vartak plans to destroy Earth and seize the throne." Rozar's expression hardened. He will answer for his crimes. Suddenly, the chamber doors burst open. Vartok's forces stormed in, weapons raised. The coup was in full swing, traitor. Valeri shouted, drawing her blade. Jason covered her, firing precise shots at the attackers. The battle was fierce and fast. Valeri and Jason fought side by side. The royal guards loyal to Rozar joined the fray, but Vartaka's soldiers were. Many the palace shook as fighting spread through its halls. In the chaos, Valeri faced Vartok himself. His eyes burned with hatred and ambition. "You were weak to survive," he sneered, "but I will finish what I started." Valeri raised her blade. "I fight for my people land for peace." They clashed, blades sparking strength and skill. Matched outside, Jason led a team of humans and Kale rebels to protect the palace's key points. They used human tactics and Kale weapons, blending to fighting styles. Jason shouted, "Orders," coordinating the defense. Back in the throne room, Valeris' duel with Vartak reached its peak. She used what she had learned from humans' unpredictable moves, quick thinking. With a final strike, she disarmed him and forced him to surrender. Vartok snarled, but knew he was defeated. Guards took him away, ending the coup. King Rozar stepped forward, proud but tired. "My daughter has returned not just as a warrior, but as a leader." He looked at Jason, extending his hand. "You have my thanks, human. You fought bravely for Kale and Earth. Jason shook it firmly. I believe in peace between our worlds. Valeri smiled. This is only the beginning. We must rebuild. And heal. Roser nodded, and prepare for what comes next. As the palace settled, the first steps toward peace were made. Two very different worlds had joined together, united by courage, trust, and hope. The great halls of the Kale Palace were quiet now, the echoes of battle replaced by careful footsteps and soft voices. King Rosar sat on his throne, his eyes tired but steady. Beside him stood Princess Valeri, her green scales gleaming in the light. Between them was Jason Ward, the human who had changed the course of two worlds. Peace was fragile. Roser looked out over the city from his high balcony. The Dominion has suffered, he said slowly, but it will rise again. It's not through war, but through strength of unity. Valeri nodded. My father, the future depends on trust. Between Kale and humans, there must be respect. Jason smiled, though his body still bore the marks of battle. We fought side by side, and I believe we can build something new. Together. But peace was not easily won. The war fleet lay broken, and Vartok's loyalists were scattered. Still, not all Kale agreed with Roser's choice to seek friendship with humans. Some whispered of revenge. Others feared the change. To secure the future, Roser called for a great council, inviting leaders from Kale and Earth alike. The chamber was filled with beings of many shapes and voices, all gathered to decide what would come next. Jason stood before the council, representing humanity. His arm was bandaged where a blast had injured him, but his spirit was strong. We have seen what war brings, he said. Destroys lives, homes, and hope. But together, we can create a new path. One where our worlds stand as allies, not enemies. Valeri added, I was born to fight for my people, but I have learned that true strength is in peace. I ask you all to join us. The leaders murmured among themselves. Slowly, hands reached out, shaking, but joined in agreement. A new alliance was born. In the days that followed, Valeri worked with both Kale and humans to rebuild trust. She and Jason became symbols of hope, proof that differences could be overcome. They traveled together to Earth, where humans welcomed the Kale princess with curiosity and respect. At a ceremony beneath Earth's bright sun, Roser spoke to the crowd. We are no longer enemies, he declared. We are partners. Together, we will explore the stars and build a future worthy of all our children. Jason looked at Valeri, his friend and ally. This is only the beginning, he said. Many challenges lie ahead, Valeri smiled. But with you by my side, I am ready. The alliance sparked new discoveries, technology shared, knowledge exchanged. Both worlds grew stronger where once there was fear. Now there was hope, and in the quiet moments, Valeri remembered the journey that brought her here from the crash on the moon. Two fighting side by side with a human, two standing before kings and leaders. She whispered to the stars, thank you, Jason. Together, we changed the fate of worlds. The future was bright. The story of a lost princess and a human ally had become a legend, a reminder that even in darkness, light could be found.